I know you feel it. I know that at some point something inside you stirred. That person who left you, who made you feel disposable, now feels the absence they once ignored. They now realize that losing you wasn't just a mistake, it was a disaster, and they are suffocating with it. Time has passed, but the memories remain. You were a refuge, a safe harbor, and the moment you turned your back, that person's world became empty. Now they come with words laden with emotion, with an apology stuck in their throat, with a promise to change. I miss you. I was wrong. Forgive me. But does this regret change anything? Does this acknowledgement of error erase everything you felt when you were left behind? Now the choice is no longer theirs. It's yours. What are you going to do? You read that message and feel the impact. A part of you was already expecting this. Maybe not now, maybe not like this, but deep down you always knew that one day this person would realize. They would realize that you weren't just another chapter, but an entire story they chose to interrupt. The question comes immediately. Why now? They had so much time, so many moments when they could have seen what they had in their hands. But no, they chose to ignore it, preferred to believe you would always be there, waiting, available, understanding, accepting the crumbs they offered. Now, when you no longer care, when the silence that once tortured you has become relief, this person returns. And they return in a hurry. They come back in desperation. They return because suddenly they realize that no one else has your way, that no one looks at them the way you did, that no one offers the security you provided. Now the empty conversations with other people don't fill the void that remains. The places that once felt ordinary now remind them of you. Can we talk? You see this question, and a mix of feelings washes over you. Anger, maybe. Sadness, definitely. But above all, exhaustion. You don't want to be a cycle in anyone's life anymore. You don't want to be someone who is only remembered when loneliness hits hard, when life demands the presence of someone who was always willing to stay. And the most ironic part, this person thought they would easily move on, that you would be replaced without any effort. They tried to fill the space that was yours with other empty presences. But it didn't work, because no one understands like you did. No one listens like you listened. No one gives of themselves in the same way. Now they feel it, and they feel it in a way that hurts. The pride that once made them feel in control is now the weight they need to swallow to admit what they've always known, but refuse to accept. You were worth it. But do you still want to hear? Is it worth it to make room for a "I've changed" from someone who only learned the value of your presence in your absence? Is it worth listening to promises that could have been made back then but never were? You can feel the anticipation on the other side. You know that person is staring at their phone, waiting for you to respond. But what about you? What are you waiting for? Maybe, just maybe, your answer is already quite clear. Silence. And the silence weighs heavy. You know that. And they feel it. On the other side, they hold their phone, open the chat, look at what they wrote, and wonder if you will reply. If you will, at least, show some reaction. Maybe a direct no, perhaps a heartfelt outpouring of hurt, or even an ironic remark like, "Oh, now you remember I exist?" But no, you're not in a hurry. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself, to justify your absence in the same way that this person never cared to justify theirs. The tables have turned, and for the first time, they feel what you felt. Uncertainty, the anxiety of not knowing what comes next, the fear of being ignored. She revisits old conversations. She recalls the moments when you insisted, when you tried to fix what was already broken, when you swallowed your pride just to avoid losing someone who, at that moment, didn't care about keeping you. Now, every short response she gave you, every lame excuse, every silence disguised as "I'm busy" comes rushing back. You used to be the one who hoped. You were the one who spent time analyzing every word, looking for a sign of reciprocity. You were the one who believed that loving enough was all it took to be loved back. But that's in the past now. There's nothing left to prove, and she feels it. Her heart races with every notification, hoping it's you, but nothing happens. And then, desperation grows. She tries again. Please respond to me. The tone changes. No longer is there the attitude of someone in control. Now there is urgency. Now there is fear. Fear that the door may have closed for good. Fear that you've moved on. Fear that you've finally found someone who treats you the way you should have been treated from the start. And the truth? Maybe you have found that someone. Maybe it's not another person. Maybe it was yourself. Perhaps you realize that your peace is worth more than any late reconciliation. That your heart shouldn't be a place for someone who only returns when they feel lost. But she doesn't know that. Not yet. And while you carry on with your life, finding new paths, new reasons to smile on the other side, she feels the weight of doubt. Has she lost you forever? Maybe yes, maybe no, but this time the choice is no longer in her hands. She can't bear the weight any longer. The silence that once hurt you now destroys her. Desperation starts to take over. You didn't respond, and every second without an answer is a reminder of what she did. A reminder that when she had you around, she chose to ignore you, chose to put things off, chose to act like you would always be there. Now she realizes she may have waited too long. Please talk to me. You see this message. You see her desperation, feel her anguish. And for the first time you feel you have control, not because you're playing a game, not because you want revenge, but because now you understand that it should have never been you chasing after her. It should have never been you carrying the weight of the relationship alone. But she only understands this now. She thinks about calling you, thinks about showing up unexpectedly, thinks about everything she can do to reach out to you, because for the first time, she knows that losing you isn't just a possibility. It's real, and it hurts. It hurts her just like it hurt you when you were waiting for something that never came. When you were stuck in the cycle of uncertainty, of empty promises, of frustrated hopes. Now she is the one who feels that knot in her throat. The truth is she never imagined you would move on without looking back. She thought she could return whenever she wanted. That no matter what happened, you would still be there, waiting. But something changed. You no longer want to prove your worth. You don't want to convince anyone that you deserve to be loved, because now you know. Those who truly love you never make you doubt that. They never leave you waiting. They never put pride above the connection you share. And her? She is learning this the hard way. Every ignored attempt, every minute without a response, every reminder of what you were and what you could have been. Now, all of this eats away at her inside. She reads her own message and feels the weight of your silence. Say something to me. Anything. You take a deep breath. You know that your response could change everything. Deep down, you also know there's still something inside you that feels, that remembers. But the question isn't what you feel. The question is it worth it? Does this person deserve a fresh start? Or are they just facing the consequences of what they've sown? This time, the decision is yours. And her? She can only wait. She can't wait any longer. The phone is in her hand, the screen lit up, the last message right there. Unanswered. Her heart pounds. Fear grows. Desperation can no longer hide. Please talk to me. The pride that once made her feel strong now feels like a burden too heavy to bear. She knows she was wrong. She knows she went too far. She knows she pushed you to the limit, thinking she'd always have time to come back. But now time has turned into an enemy. She scrolls through the conversation, reading everything again. Every message you sent, every attempt you made, every time she swallowed her pride to hold on to something she didn't even value. And now when she realizes she lost, when she feels in her bones what you felt so many times, the only thing she can think is, what if it's too late? She tries again. I know I hurt you. I know I don't deserve for you to even read this, but please, listen to me. Her chest tightens. Desperation rises. Uncertainty hurts. Because now for the first time, she doesn't have the guarantee that you're still there. For the first time, she's the one who doesn't know if she'll get a response. She opens the gallery and starts looking at pictures. She remembers your smile, the endless conversations, those moments that seemed small but now are everything she wishes she could have back. The nostalgia hits her like a punch. A regret that consumes, that suffocates. She didn't think it would be like this. She didn't think losing you would hurt so much. But it does. It hurts because she now realizes how different you were, how your presence was a relief, a safe place, something no one else could replace. She compares you to those who came after, and the conclusion is harsh. No one was you. And that's the worst part, because she tried to move on. She tried to pretend everything was fine, that she was okay. But the laughter is empty. The conversations are superficial. The glances don't carry the same sparkle. And the emptiness she once didn't want to see has now become impossible to ignore. She loses control. Say something. Yell at me. Tell me to go away, but respond to me. And you see it, you feel it. But for the first time, you don't feel obligated to react because now it's different. Now you don't need to prove anything. Now it's her who has to deal with the uncertainty, the doubt, the pain of waiting. And that is the true response, your silence. Because this time it's not you who needs to chase after someone. It's her who needs to learn to handle the pain of losing someone who only wanted to be loved the right way. And now she finally understands. The silence that was once yours is now hers. The pain of waiting, the anguish of uncertainty, the desire to turn back time and do things differently. All of that now burns in her just like it burned in you. But time doesn't turn back. She reads and rereads the old messages, searching for any sign that there's still hope, that she can fix what she destroyed with her own neglect. But all she finds are reminders of how much you tried, how much you insisted, how much you fought alone for something that should have been mutual. And now when she finally feels what you felt, she realizes the damage. Regret arrives like a weight on her chest, a suffocating feeling, a lump in her throat that won't go away. She wishes she had been different. She wishes she had valued you the way you deserved when you were still there. But she didn't. And now, every second of your silence is a warning that it might be too late. She thinks of everything she could say. I know I hurt you. I should have never let you go. I miss you. But does it even matter? Can any word change what has already been done? Is forgiveness still within reach for you? She starts to imagine her life without you. Have you found someone else? Someone who appreciates what she wasted? Someone who makes you smile in a way she never could? That thought is unbearable, because until now she still believed she could come back whenever she wanted, that there would always be room for her, that you were still holding on to a bit of that naive hope that one day she would realize. But now, all she feels is fear. Fear that she waited too long, fear that she truly lost you, fear that this time the choice is no longer in her hands. And the truth? It isn't. This time you're the one who decides. You don't have to chase after her anymore. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to keep insisting. Now, the one who has to face her own uncertainty, who has to deal with the weight of doubt, who has to feel what it's like to be left behind is her. She writes another message. Please, give me a chance to explain. But you see it, and no longer feel that urgency to respond, because now what you have in your hands is something she never gave you, the power of choice. And what do? You open the conversation, you read the words, you feel their weight, and then you realize the answer has always been clear. The real answer isn't a yes or a no, it's in the silence. Because sometimes those who leave don't come back, and those who have been left learn to move on without looking back. Now, I want to know from you, would you give a second chance to someone who only realized your worth when they lost you? Comment below, because I really want to hear your thoughts on this. And if this message resonated with you, give it a like and subscribe to the channel, because I always bring content that speaks straight to the heart. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today.